Oh, hello. We're back to talk about Brutal and Cunning again. I know, it feels like I made this video yesterday because I did, but now the Warcom website has returned to life, and there's loads more detail actually for people that want to read every single word. So we're going to start by looking at the Wrecker crew. So the first thing they told us is they gave us the names of all of the things in the Wrecker crew. So we've got the Tank Buster Rocketeer, who I'm guessing is your basic guy. And I assume that most of the models in the box can be assembled as Rocketeers, for 40k purposes. Couple of Bomb Squigs. Tank Buster Gunner, so that is indeed a bigger, stronger rocket. Then we've got the Breaker Boy Fighter, the Breaker Boy Demolisher, and the Breaker Boy Crusher, and the Boss Knob. So, for what it's worth, I'm guessing in 40k this is going to be a box of a dual kit, right? So it's going to be, do you want to make Tank Busters, or do you want to make Breaker Boys? And then, so you'll have like a Rocket Soldiers unit, and you'll have like a Close Combat unit. But us as Kill Teamers, we're getting a mixture of the two. So, that's pretty cool. Now, the big news from the Orc front is that we're getting to see their special rule, which is Tanked Up. Tanked Up. Wrecker crews are empowered by the thrill of explosive combat, lending them fresh impetus as they undertake their murderous rampages. Whenever a friendly Wrecker crew operative, excluding a Bomb Squig, that has an engage order, performs the fight or shoot action, excluding guard, and +1 to its APL stat until the start of its next activation. So, that's... I assume they're going to have APL 2 base, right? So they kind of act more or less like an elite team, but with a weird little... I don't think I like this rule. I'm concerned about the Wrecker crew. Right, it's a 6-model team, really, with 2 Bomb Squigs, which presumably are going to work like the Bomb Squigs in Commandos, right? They're going to be effectively like one-shot token marker exploding things, right? Now, we know that a Space Marine team, all the Space Marine teams, so Angels of Death, Chaos Legionaries, Night Lords, and the Thousand Suns, we can have these teams, and they're generally 3 APL teams with a 3-up save and piles of wounds. And then here we have a 6-model team that has to jump through a hoop to get its 3rd APL. Now, granted, it's a very thematic rule. You can do 3 things as long as one of the first 2 things that you want to do is fight or shoot. So you don't have the option to, move, dash, tap an objective, let's say. I'll grant you that in the current edition of Kill Team, that's probably not something that you really want to do that often. So it's not really a problem, but it's an extra little wrinkle that's going to come and annoy. It is a hindrance. It's not a cool special rule. It's can't we just have 3 APL? Now, if they have 3 APL base, and this can take up to 4 APL, okay, yeah, that'd be ridiculously good. I'm sold, I'm there, but I can't quite see it. And you might say to me, Phil, they're not going to make a team that's just weaker, that's just weaker than all the other Space Marine teams. That would be daft, right? They'll be fine. And it's like, look at Phobo. Look at Phobo. Whatever weird logic they were using with Phobos, right, where they just have less wounds than all the other Marines, and not really that much to show for it, maybe they think having the 2 Bomb Squigs and therefore having the extra activations until they blow themselves up makes up for the fact they're only going to have a 4-up save and they only have pseudo 3 APL. I mean, how many wounds are these guys going to have? They better have at least 14 wounds. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, we will know more. I just can't quite see it. They're like, they're just in an uncomfortable space for me. We'll see. We'll see. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Just to recap the things that were in the previous video that were revealed in the stream. Like I said, they have a 4-up save. We know that the Breaker Boy, specifically the Breaker Boy Crusher, right, has a knockback mechanic, so you can push people off bridges and off objectives and things like that. That's pretty cool. And we know that the Breaker Boy Demolisher can choose to explode. It's really basically I don't think it's going to be gets hot. Right, because I think it's going to be like a one-off thing that you choose to do and it explodes violently, like a get hot but stronger but also limited, if that makes sense. Something like that. There'll be a really interesting team to see the rules for. They really, really will. But I'm not confident they're going to be amazing. I'm a little worried they're going to come out around the power level of Phobos because they clearly think Phobos is fine, and yet, right. Phobos have a really clear... This isn't a video about Phobos, but just bear with me. Phobos have a really clear path to buff them. Just give them a 7th model. You know, just give them an extra dude. Like, it's nuts, but they could do it. These orcs? I don't know. We'll see. We don't have enough information. I shouldn't get too prejudiced about them, right, based on the little bits of information that we have. I'm worried that they're not going to be good. There we go. They look like... I don't even really like orcs. These guys do look awesome. This is orcs done right. It really is. Right, the ratlings. So, again, same deal. We've got the names for all these guys. So, this guy's called the Sneak, so pretty much confirming. I'm wondering if he's going to be the only one that's silent sniper. Like the others will have sniper rifles, but they won't be silent because a team full of silent sniper rifles will be a bit like much. But he clearly has the camo cloak going on. Anyway, the battlement we know. It seems like Hat Guy's just your generic sniper. So I'm guessing that you could build him in multiple different ways. Yeah, because again, like the other box I was talking about, that these are going to have the option to be built just as a squad of ratlings for 40k, right? With sniper rifles, if that's what you wanted to do. So we'll see. The Vox Thief is really interesting. I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, it's going to be a comms," but it's not, is it? Vox Thief, it's clearly, like I said in the previous video, it's a directional microphone. So it's going to be some kind of debuff or interfering with your opponent's comms or something. Maybe it does its own comms as well, right? But it's going to be comms. I mean, I think it's the Brew Brothers comms that can also like jam other people's things, and it's just got that bonus extra ability. So maybe this is like that first, and then it just happens to do comms as well. I don't know. But it's interesting. Interesting to see what this is. It's not as I thought it was. An Auspex with a name like Vox Thief. I thought it might be using the sound, the directional microphone there to like, oh, I can hear there's a Night Lord skulking behind that wall. We best run away or shoot him or something. But actually, I think it's probably more to do with messing up with maybe it's delays your activation, right? I don't know. We'll see. As I said, Stash Master is going to be some kind of lugger type thing. Whether he lets you have an extra equipment or whether he has some other ability, I don't know. Not pictured here, but we saw in the other picture that I had, there is some kind of box or token thing that I assume is to do with the Stash Master as well. I had him called a ninja, but they've called him a raider, but he's clearly an objective, a guy that can traverse the kill zone easily, right, with his climbing rope. I would say an objective monkey, but it's just objectives are less of a thing, I guess, in the new edition of Kill Team. The Bomber, yeah, obviously. Hardbit, which is a fun name. So clearly he is a veteran. He has a knife. He is a combat ratling. Be interested to see how that goes, but that's pretty cool. And again, a spotter. So maybe this is more like your Auspex guy. And then this will be some kind of, this guy cancels conceal. This guy interferes with your activation order, maybe. Or gives you negative APL somehow. I don't know. Feels like a debuff guy. This is your fixer, is your leader, right? And then the big shot, as we said before, has something called an anti-tank rifle. So he's going to have a really powerful... He's going to be essentially a gunner, okay? Now, we knew the Scarpa rule was in there, and I have had confirmation in the comments that Scarpa is not a word that exists in American English, which is pretty funny. I wonder if they knew that when they... Anyway. Scarpa. Despite their small stature, Ratlings are fleet of foot, using their speed and agility to outpace and evade their foes. So, after each enemy operative's activation, before the next operative is activated, you can perform a free dash action with one friendly Ratling operative, excluding Bulgrin, Ogrin, and Sneak, this guy. We'll talk about Bulgrins and Ogrins in a moment, don't worry. I know it's the elephant in the room, or the space ogre in the room. We'll get to it. Can perform a free dash action with one friendly Ratling operative, but it cannot finish that move within 3 inches of an enemy operative unless it's not visible to every enemy operative when it finishes that move. That's an interesting little condition, isn't it? So it can move to a place where it's visible to somebody as long as it's not within 3 inches of anybody. But if it's within 3 inches of somebody, it has to be not visible to everybody, which is, I think that's going to trip people up. But yeah, okay, I understand it, because, you know, the Night Lords or whatever could call out, hey, evil Charles, he's over there. I don't know. What's a Night Lord name? Mistopheles? Jimothy? Ian? I don't know. I have the Night Lords Omnibus, by the way. It just sits on my shelf unread. I know it's really good, but yeah. Anyway, random ramble aside. Oh, let's be fair, you're here for the random rambles. Each friendly operative can only do this once per turning point, and you cannot do so after the final activation of the turning point, and you cannot use this rule after consecutive enemy activations during the same turning point. In other words, after using this rule, you must skip the next opportunity during that turning point before you can use it again. Right, I'm glad that bit in brackets is there, because this bit was a bit opaque. So, after every other enemy activation, unless it's the last activation of the turn, you can choose to perform a free dash action, but you can't dash to within 3 inches of an enemy operative unless it's not visible. That's pretty cool. I think this is one of those rules that you are you're gonna have to explain it to your opponent at the start of the game, right? And make sure that they leave the adequate pause in the game. Because I do think sometimes you could get into... I could see there being a frustrating situation where it's like, you finish... Like, no, it doesn't matter. Ignore me, because it's after their activation before your next activation, so you'll be in control. That's okay. Or, assuming that they're not outnumbering you, but you... Yeah. So you get to the free dash. No, that's pretty cool. It means that you can get out of range of charges and things like that and be a bit difficult to pin down. This is a really interesting team. You know, they have said this is going to be an edition where shooting is more valuable, right? And having now actually played a game, I don't know if I agree. But their plan is to make shooting more valuable. I think last edition there was kind of a thing where a lot of people prefer close combat. But, yeah, I can see this being a really fun, really cool little team that's really frustrating to play against, but in a good way. If that makes sense. They're just lovable rogues, aren't they? Yeah. Yeah, I like them. Now, we want to talk about Ogrins, which is kind of the elephant in the room. So they've reavered them in. They've pulled the Reaver trick, right? The old bait and... Well, not really a bait and switch, but... yeah, you can add Ogrins. So you need to go and buy a 40 quid box to get 3 Ogrins. So it's kind of annoying in that way that they haven't... They could have just slung 3 Ogrins in the box, but I guess the bean counters said no, sure. So it's an extra box to go and buy to get all the options for your kit. Now, there's a couple of interesting meta kind of community thing here, is that Valorant said that there was going to be Ogrins ages ago, and then lately, like a while after that, kind of was stopped mentioning the Ogrins and just said Ratlings in all his things, trying to maybe like distance himself from the Ogrin thing. Which makes me think that one of Valrak's sources had seen like the rules and had said, oh no, there's going to be Ogrins. And then later on, Valrak's got another source who I think sees box packaging. Like, that's still my thoughts. So, Yeah, it's a complicated rumory web out there that I try to interpret for you. But no, fair play to the guy. He did call it, even if he later got cold feet a little bit. He did totally call that the Ogryns were going to be part of it. Now, the Ain Kit is really interesting and complicated, so it builds all of these things that you see here. So you can build your Billy Basic Ogryn, and your Billy Basic Ogryn has a Ripper gun. Now, the leader of the Ogryns is Bonehead, but as far as I can tell, there's not a like, this guy is a bonehead. He's got the extra chip in his head. So I think the Bulgarians have a bonehead leader. Maybe you also have a bonehead leader for your granddad's Ogryns. Yeah. I remember. I remember when this was what an Ogryn was, and all this stuff didn't exist. Right. And then you've got Nork Deadog, who is Okay, Nork Deadog Ogryn Bodyguard was originally conceived as a special character. I believe in the Astra Militarum Codex there is now a generic Ogryn Bodyguard that you use the same model for. So I don't know if this will have particular rules in Kill Team. It's certainly going to be in the kit that you buy, so it could. You could have an option for an Ogryn that has the Ripper gun, but also has like a better armor save, which is essentially what this guy has. I think his little armor tabard thing's really cool, and so be tempting to use if he hasn't got rules, especially if you end up only wanting one Ogryn. Like, I can see wanting to use the head and the body from this guy. Perhaps take the Vox speaker with the comments a hat off, or leave it on, because it's a cool thing. It's funny, but it doesn't really make sense in the context of a Ratling and Ogryn team-up team. But I love the cigar that he's got and the little eye thing. And then you could just put the arms from the Bulgrin on here and give him the shield and, something else, and make a really badass Bulgrin, but with this nice cool like armor rather than the sort of tank. Like, I get it's funny that it's Caterpillar tracks from a tank because the Imperium doesn't care about the Ogryns and just makes their equipment out of any old shit. Like, hooray, because they are human supremacists and therefore they treat the Ogryns like a slave race, but the Ogryns are too stupid to understand what's going on. Hey, parody, satire, stuff. But yeah, I like this model. It's also interesting that your Bulgryns have got two loadouts now. On the Games Workshop website, they're only ever shown in this combination. So you've got your slab shield with your grenade launcher, and then you've got your what's it called? It's like a brute shield, I think, and your Ogryn club. Now, in the current edition of 40, you can mix and match these. So you can have this shield or this shield with this weapon or this weapon. I think they're probably going to keep it. They're going to lock it for Kill Team. And the reason I think they're going to lock it is, like, in 40k, like, one shield gives you an invulnerable save and one shield gives you more wounds. And it's like, And I think whatever the shields do in Kill Team, I think it's inevitable there's going to be one that's better and one that's worse. Right? I think I should have done more research before I hit record, but looking at this model, this shield's got, like, power things on the outside. It doesn't have any kind of rule anymore, but I think originally the power on here and the power on here, like, this was meant to be some kind of less protective, but had some offensive, close combat-y stuff to it, right? So I think that they're probably going to keep them locked like this and bring back some of that texture. Remember, Kill Team doesn't follow 40k with 40k's simplification of everything anymore. Like, Intercessors kept their 3 different kinds of bolt rifle because it was on the kit. These are an older kit, and the models represent a level of rules complexity that isn't reflected in 40k anymore. So I think they're probably going to keep them locked to these two loadouts. Because I think the danger is if they let you mix and match, one shield just becomes the best shield. Whereas, we've seen it before, like maybe the grenade launcher is really good, but the shield's kind of meh, and then this is a bit more meh, but then the shield's really cool, and then it gives you a genuine choice. That's kind of what I expect, but we'll see. How are the Ogryns going to work? I mean, it's an 11 model team, right? Because we assume that the box is the team. It could be. Hang on, let me just. Totally seamless, like pressing of the pause button in OBS. There is the number 10 on the Warcom article, but it just says there are 10 ratlings in the box. It could be an 11 model team. It could always be a 10 model team. You could always be forced to. I could see that they force you to choose between the battle mutt and the sniper, essentially, or they just picture you this sniper, but you never actually take him because you can only have 10 models. Like, we don't actually know whether it's either going to be a 10 or an 11 model team because they're selling you 11 models. But remember, they could. I mean, like every Space Marine team is 10 models in the box, but then you of course don't expect to use 10. Of course, they sell you 10 ratlings because that's what you want for 40k. I could see it being a 11 model team. I could see it being a 10 model team. And then what? You're going to swap for your Ogryns? You're going to swap 2 ratlings for an Ogryn, 3 ratlings for an Ogryn? Something like that. Maybe. How many Ogryns can you swap out for? Will it be the thing that you want to do? I'm kind of imagining it's going to work like Reavers do in the Phobos team, where the Reavers themselves are pretty cool, but they almost have anti-synergy with the rest of the team in that, if you're taking Reavers, you're breaking the synergy that you get from having your other things in your Phobos team. I mean, Phobos is just a flaming bag of dog poo at this point, but in theory, right? So I think the Ogryns are going to bring, obviously, I guess it's an Ogryn. They're going to be a bag of stats. Okay, I do get that, but probably with less synergy to the ploys. You're probably going to see a lot more rules that say, "Oh, accept the Ogryns," right? And so it becomes whether you want to take the Ogryns or an Ogryn and have less of your synergy and special rules. I do wonder if there's going to be an ability to go like, oh, yeah, here's my 5 Ogryns, or 3 Ogryns, and, I mean, you get 3 in a box, so it'd be cool if 3 was the maximum. Like 3, if they each took 3 slots, that's 9, so you could, don't want to go there yet. If you take 9 Ogryns and the leader and the dog, is that a thing, or is that, like, that'll be the meme team, right? Will it be any good? Who knows? Right, moving on. We're going to spot the terrain since I accidentally clicked to it. So I'm really interested in this terrain for some reason. Right, let's go over it. So I'm going to read. This new expansion includes the Compound Siege terrain upgrade designed to enhance the terrain found in Kill Team Hyperstorm, with breachable compound walls, bunker sections, and firing ports. Brand new missions found in the Brutal and Cunning dossier book use these new terrain options to stage exciting asymmetric sieges over fortified defensive zones. One squad sets up to defend as attacking operatives on the other side destroy sections of wall with pop-out pieces to expose the damage and surge into the breach, making for quite a shake-up in the overall dynamic of Kill Team missions. This terrain plugs right into the existing Killzone Volkers ruins, so you can swap them in and out whenever you want to use them. To top it all off, Kill Team Brutal and Cunning comes with a set of data cards feature. I'll come on to that later, right? So, this is really interesting. You can sort of see it. If you look here, right, you can see my pointer, right? So, you can see there's a line here, right? And so this section of wall is this. Obviously, they flipped it, right? But this section here is removable. So this whole section pulls out, right? And that's what you can see here. So it's been breached and the squigs are heading through to explode themselves some ratlings. And it looks like there's a similar piece here. So it looks to me, from the picture, that you've got 2 sections of like breachable wall, right? One in the middle of this one and one on the left of this one. So that's cool. I was wrong about these pieces. So it looks like these don't let these clip together, whether they'll have another way of clipping together or whether they just lean on each other. I think they're probably just freestanding. They're probably quite chunky. This reminds me a lot of Morok. Right, so if you remember the Morok box, that has those freestanding walls, the barricade things with the slots in, and what this piece is, right, it's in this photograph. Can you see it? Have you spotted it? Have you spotted it? I'll give you a clue. It's over here. And this is exactly like something a design idea we had in Morocco. Nobody ever did it. Nobody ever used them, right? But this little piece here is that you wedge it in between the sloped side of. This is one of the. Someone said this is the Morocco landing pad because it has similar little septic tanks on the side. This isn't. This is one of the Volcus ruins, right? With the two. And if the top of the picture didn't end there, you'd see this was the stupid one with hollow inside that looks like an unfinished model. You know what I'm talking about. And so this little piece of plastic goes in here to make this slanted wall flat so that this can butt up against it. And then you've got your little, your little bunker barricade compound thing that you can make around the outside. So this seems like it's, this wall here, right, is clearly this one here. Right, and you can see that the disposable bit's been taken out, right? So that's this wall here, right? And then you've got the little pillbox corner thing here, right? Then you've got this wall here, okay? And then at the back here, you've got this wall here. Now, what's frustrating, they've been quite savvy in this picture. I bet this corner looks weird. And they've cropped it off, right? And you can see here that the wall kind of goes behind. It doesn't line up with the ruin to make a perfect square. It kind of, there's a gap here, lads. It kind of goes behind the thing. So it's not perfect, but it's pretty cool and interesting. Like, they've put a lot of effort into this for something that I feel like the majority of my audience aren't going to use. And I just think, actually, maybe I need to be more of a fun haver. Maybe I need to say to Zimbabwe, like, hey, you want to play with the competitive things, with the, not competitive, the narrative rule thing, with the siege missions? Like, people that like narrative were kind of sad that there are less narrative missions in Hivestorm. I don't think these are designed for solo and co-op play. I think these are designed for you to just have a fun game with your friend. It still has a winner and a loser. But they've almost put more design work into the terrain here than anything else. It's interesting. Like, obviously the models are very highly designed, but the models are very clearly 40k products that are doing double duty in Kill Team, right? Like, the Orcs box literally, like, it's not a massive problem. The Orcs box literally just looks like it's a standard 40k dual kit, right? So it's the Breaker Boys or the Tangbusters, and actually, it's not been designed to Kill Team first, has it? Really? I don't think so. Some people think it has. I just think it's clearly like it's it's just a dual kit. It's fine. It's good. It looks lovely. It's not a problem. I'm not having a go. But I think that the Rattlings are far more. They look like they look like they were designed. They've clearly got a lot of. It'll be interesting to see if these are sprued out, like we used to see, where even like the Krieg, where you've got the basic Krieg sprue, and then you've clearly got this is the Kill Team upgrade sprue. Even though it's a brand new kit, it's got like clearly an upgrade sprue. Is this how we're going to see? I'm just curious. Is that we're going to see like a Kill Team upgrade sprue effectively for these, or are we going to be more like the Commandos, where it looks like a fully integrated kit that was always designed to work in a certain way? We'll see. Yeah, so that's that. I also want to talk about books and cards. So we have confirmation that we're going to get the books, cards, and tokens in the Brutal and Cunning box. The fact that we're getting the 2 card packs here makes it feel really weird that Hivestorm didn't have the cards for the Vespid and the Aquilons. I don't think the cards are a must-have. I think they're nice, but the price to pay for them, I don't think they're a must-have. I've been enjoying Kill Team Battle Kit. If you're not interested in that, if you don't know what that is, I'll leave a link in the description. I'm going to do a full video kind of review of Kill Team Battle Kit at some point. I've been really enjoying using that. And so it's kind of killed in me any desire to buy these cards, but if I get them for free, will I be tempted to use them if I wanted to play Orcs or Rattlings? I'm not sure. It's interesting that they're included, though, to be fair. It is. What I'm... Yeah. Final thoughts. I'm so overwhelmed. Yeah, okay, I'm a content creator, but I can't be the only one feeling this way. Like, just had Hivestorm came out yesterday. Right? Like, we're not all influencers. We haven't all had it for months and gotten bored of it. It came out yesterday. I've played one game. I haven't read some of the factions yet. Like, I'm trying to absorb them into my brain. It's a lot of rules to try and get your head around in a very short period of time. I've got no idea, really, what the meta is, what a tier list would look like, what's strong, what's bobbins. And they're going hard on this. Like, in my last video, I was like, oh yeah, they'll probably try and get this one out in December, maybe not the new year, because I'm assuming we're on like a quarterly box. What if we're not? What if we're just getting like 6 boxes this year? This is a lot. This is a lot of detail. And they say at the end of the article that we're going to have far more, dips in the rules, dips in this, dips in that. It doesn't look like this is like the normal thing of a preview where they go, oh, look at this thing that's coming out in the next 3 months. It feels like we're now in the hype week. If they're going to start doing deep dives on rules, how quickly is this product coming out? And what does that mean for future? Like, okay, man complains at getting too much stuff, like, from Games Workshop, but like... What bothers me, really, is... I was checking Warcom today at 6 o'clock, kind of assuming that we were going to get, like... Every week I think, oh, is this the week that we're going to get, the next wave of the teams that are fully legal and everything else for the game in their new shiny boxes? Because that stuff's not important for like people who have been playing since the last 3 and a bit years, and bought them all the first time round. But like, I had someone pop into my Discord the other day. Hi, have you watching, by the way? And they were like, yeah, I've just started. I've just got Hivestorm and some Night Lords, and I'm loving the content. I'm loving some beginner content. Like, it's doing its job at getting new people into the game. And if new people are getting into the game and they're consuming all this content, and if I do a video about like... let me think of a team. Phobos. That's well, you shouldn't buy Phobos, right? And they're not very good. Hierotex Circle, right? And I go, oh, Hierotex Circle, really, you can't buy that. You can't buy that kit team at the moment, right? You just can't. They haven't got around to it, re-releasing it. It's currently just out off sale. That's not very welcoming to a new player, right? Like. It's one of those things where, the old meme is that Games Workshop fans are never happy, and are you literally complaining that your game is supported too much? But it's like, I get that you might not feel overwhelmed because you're not trying to make content. Like, I'm sitting here going, look, I want to make a video that's like my first thoughts after my first game. I want to make a video that's like, oh, here's my lessons learned from building the terrain in the box. I want to keep making all of the Kill Team rundowns. I want to talk about the Kill Team Battle Kit app versus the official app and things like. There's so much stuff to talk about already with what we've got, that having a brand new product that's, now we're in the hype week for a brand new product, it's extremely full on for me. And even as someone that's just a fan and a consumer, it must be extremely full on. Like, if you've just got Hivestorm, right? If you've just got Hivestorm and maybe you picked up an extra team as well, and you've just got that and you've just started to look at the grey plastic and think about paint, like, do you watch a video like this and get really excited, or do you watch a video like this and go, whoa, the next bit, I've only just got there. You might be going too hard. Let me know. Let me know in the comments. But you might be going in too hard, Games Workshop. Like, phooey. I'm resigned to the fact that even though I don't really desperately love either of the teams in the box, I'm gonna pick it up because I want to play with the terrain, with the little pop-out sections. I've written on the slide they want to get people playing the co-op and solo stuff. I don't even know that the terrain mission. I think it's just the return of like PvP adversarial, but still just like stupid fun narrative missions, and they're probably worth a look. Let me know what you think, right? And I just want to say thank you to all my members, subscribers, supporters, all the people who make this a going concern. I am really putting in a lot of effort at the minute on making a video, or trying to make a video nearly every day, because there's just so much stuff, right? So all of your comments, even though I've been a bit lax on getting around to replying lately, like I'll generally do it when I'm at work at lunchtime. Like I'll generally go through the replies then, because it's my time, it's my lunchtime, but also I can't make videos, can't paint models, so I generally do it then. But I will get round to going through those comments after the weekend's finished, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and with that, I want to say thank you, bye-bye, and now I'm going to have to awkwardly pick up the mouse that I once again... You'd swear it was alive, right? Oh, if I was professional, I'd edit this bit out, but I don't know what editing is. Alright, cheery bye, cheery bye, cheery, cheery, cheery bye. Goodbye.